Ladies and gentlemen, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of Reading Reviews by Ryan. No merch yet. This was handcrafted design, so it's in the works. Maybe. So today's review is on this little book called On Confidence, and it's by The School of Life. This was given to me a few weeks back from one of my best friends, Darius. Shout out Darius. Along with A Job to Love by the same folks, School of Life. When I first got these, he handed me these two and they were wrapped in plastic. My first impression, I was insulted. Darius, why are you giving me these books, these pamphlets? That look like they should be displayed on a glass coffee table as decor in a model home. Oh, what is this? You gave my brother a fifth of like $100 dark liquor? And you give me this pamphlet, this brochure? I was flabbergasted. I was insulted. I was speechless. Furthermore, I was like, On Confidence? What kind of passive-aggressive stuff is this, Darius? You got something to say? Just say it. Just say it. You could just say it. I've known you for what, 7 years now? You could just say it. However, on the plane back from Portland, I read this book. This book right here, I had to force myself to not underline every single sentence in this freaking book. It's like a foot massage. I never even thought about getting one, but after I get one, I was like, oh my God, I needed that so bad. Or maybe not so bad, but wow, it was enlightening. Or it was, in terms of the foot massage, it was relaxing. In terms of the book, it was enlightening. So, without further ado, let's get into it. So, the first chapter, and my favorite chapter, is called Idiocy and Confidence. Idiocy and confidence. What does that mean? It can be summed up in this way. We are all ridiculous and weird. Be comfortable with that, because everybody is like that, no matter what they show. It's a facade. What you see on people, you're only seeing what they choose to display. You're not seeing deeper inside, unless you really get to know this person. Here's a little excerpt from the book. In a concerted bid to never look foolish, we don't venture very far from our cocoon. And there's a nice picture. You can't really see too much, right? But it has people doing some stupid stuff, ridiculous stuff. A man throwing his money into the river, a soldier squatting on the fire and burning his trousers. Someone is intently bashing his head against a brick wall. Someone else is biting a pillar. Listen to this part. The way to greater confidence is not to reassure ourselves of our own dignity. It's to come to peace with our own inevitable ridiculousness. Bruh. Hold your shorts. We are idiots now, we have been idiots in the past, and we will be idiots again in the future, and that's okay. There aren't any other available options for human beings. Bruh. Bruh. We grow timid when we allow ourselves to be overexposed to the respectable sides of others. Such are the pains people take to appear normal. We collectively create a phantasm that suggests that normality might be possible, and this is problematic for everyone. Oh my gosh. So basically, if we come to terms with this stuff, this is what it says. If people think we're weird, in essence, if people think we're weird, if they think we're ridiculous, it wouldn't be news to us. They would only be confirming what we had already gracefully accepted a long time ago. That we, like them and every other person on earth, are a nitwit, you nitwit head ass. The risk of trying and failing would have its stings substantially removed. The fear of humiliation would no longer stalk us in the shadows of our minds. We would grow free to try things by accepting that failure as the norm. So when I first read this, I posted a picture of that on my Instagram story, and I said, this is an elegant encapsulation of the term YOLO, bruh. Third chapter is called Imposter Syndrome. We all know what this is. We feel like we are not well qualified for what we are doing, right? We've all felt this way, I'm sure. But it's normal. It's called taking a risk, challenging yourself to do something. And perhaps at first it seems like you're not well qualified or suited for it. But as time goes, you learn everybody feels that way. Nobody knows what they're doing. That's what I've heard. I'm only 25. I don't know. I think I know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing, actually. The root cause of imposter syndrome is a hugely unhelpful picture of what people at the top of society are really like. We feel like imposters not because we are uniquely flawed, but because we can't imagine how deeply flawed the elite must also be beneath a more or less polished surface. Your boss, who's been doing this for 30 years, still probably has the same issues and questions that you might have occasionally. It's not the first time they've seen it, so they know how to absorb and handle it better. And with their experience, obviously they can draw upon that to come up with some clever solutions. Everybody's kind of in the same boat, no matter what age you are. I'm speaking way out of my zone here, dude. I am so young to be saying this. I'm trying to generalize from this book. Oh my gosh. Here's something that's profound. We know ourselves from the inside, but others only from the outside. Oh, come on now, right? How much time do you spend in your head? How much time do you spend in your head? I read this one quote this one time, not from this book. You spend so much time in your own head, you better make it a good place to be, right? Have a sip of some Terramana tequila. Loosen up a little bit. So one of the things that's mentioned is no man is a hero to his valet. For example, great public figures aren't ever so impressive to those who look after them. So you think about a CEO. That person has looked, even though on the cover of a magazine, looks so dominant, alpha dude, so smart, looks like he knows what he's doing. Billionaire. So much money. So many great ideas, so smart. To his mother, though, he was once a vulnerable child, probably still has those vulnerable moments where he looks not impressive like my bum ass, right? Fetal position, chilling, mama, I need some soup type stuff. Now we have this guy named Montaigne. In one of his essays, he playfully says, in plain French, kings and philosophers shit and so do ladies. Pardon my French, but as I said, I'm quoting a French dude, so what do you expect from me? Sorry, mom and dad. We never see distinguished types doing this, while we, of course, are immensely well informed of our own digestive activities. Indeed. But this is a psychological timidity. Montaigne might have said that kings, philosophers, and ladies are racked by self-doubt and feelings of inadequacy, sometimes bump into doors and have weird lustful thoughts about members of their own families. Okay, some Oedipus complex. I ain't about that last part, but definitely racked by self-doubt and feelings of inadequacy. I feel you. So basically, the solution to the imposter syndrome lies in making a crucial leap of faith. That others' minds work in much the same way as ours do, and it helps humanize the world. This next chapter is called Trust in the System, and it's best explained through this one short paragraph. In big and small instances, we cave into the judgments of the system, beside whose might and invincibility our own hopes seem feeble and disposable. The root of our underconfidence is a touching but ultimately hugely dangerous degree of trust, a legacy of times in our lives when those in charge had our best interests in mind and took the time to assess every one of our needs. We could trust that they weren't being merely mean or unimaginative. They were the bearers of bad news out of mature benevolence. So a good example that they portray here is, for example, at work, you come up with a great proposal that you think will lead to an amazing product that'll fill a gap in the market. They say no. And say this is your boss, your immediate superior who has vast experience in this field. You feel bad. You feel dumb for bringing it up because you trust them. You trust them. But there's so much more going on behind that. Like they said, it's not your parents who are looking out for you. Perhaps this person is intimidated by your idea and doesn't want to see you surpass them in this space. The last paragraph in this chapter says, maturity means, ideally, going from the myth of a person, however high their status in a system, to a full recognition of their humanity. This may feel like disenchantment, but is also a crucial vehicle for a future in which the word no seems just a little less impartial and beyond question. Don't be discouraged. Don't let anybody tell you you can't do something. You put your mind to it and you could go. Live, laugh, love. Chapter 5 is interesting. It's called History is Now, and the claim is that one of the things that separates confident from diffident people is their approach to history. Unconfident believe that history is over. Conversely, the confident trust that history is still in the process of being made. Obviously, trying times like now, we can see history in the making. Everything that's going on in 2020. Well, let's think back to 2018, where things seemed complacent. There was nothing huge in the news, nothing life-changing. In a complacent time where it doesn't seem like the headlines are super crazy, everything's just kind of ebbing and flowing, we're just kind of chilling, we come to trust that human beings have fully mapped the range of the possible. If something hasn't happened, it's either because it can't happen or it shouldn't. Good point. Seems that way. Then I read this part. The majority of what exists is arbitrary, the result of muddle and happenstance. We are the ones who have created everything. Order, society, whatever, we have created that arbitrarily to what we think is best suited for us. Is it? Who knows? I'm not gonna belabor this chapter because it is completely irrelevant to these times. Every single day is a new freaking chapter that can be written in the history books. Another great chapter in this book is chapter 6 called Experience. The main message is failure is inevitable in every single person's journey, no matter how much they deny it. It is a part of the process. Except the problem is nobody tells us about that until those experiences and those hardships slap us so hard in the face to where your eyes roll back, give you a freaking concussion. So this chapter kind of tells you to prepare for those. Have expectation management so that you're not going to be so discouraged when these inevitable failures that happen to everybody occur also to you. If we told a small child what lay in store for them, the loneliness, the fractious relationships, the unfulfilling jobs, they might cave in and give up. We prefer to read them the Adventures of Miffy, the adorable bunny. I'd take some Miffy in my life right now. And another thing too is that anything that we see, a book, a song, a painting, it's the final product. We see the perfect final product. We don't see the multiple drafts, manuscripts that were rejected, edited. We see the final product, so everything else doesn't seem real to us, the failures. The successful artist or skilled entrepreneur go to great lengths to disguise their labors and make their work seem simple, natural, and obvious. For comedians even, we think of the funniest comedians. And I was so surprised to see this. I saw Kevin Hart in person one time. It was pretty funny. He does a little too much in my opinion, but it was kind of funny. He has done that show 10 times, the same exact show. So when he's laughing at his own jokes, that is also scripted. I watched a YouTube clip of that same show that I saw in like Houston instead of Washington. The exact same time he was cracking up, crying from his own joke, he did the same exact thing in that other show. It makes it seem so superficial. And I was like, wow, but that's how it is. Comedians can't do a different show every single time. It's scripted, it's practiced so many times. Appearing to say the first thing that comes into one's head is a result of decades of rehearsal. However, in these videos, when I say something super witty or funny, just know it's right off the dome, only take one. All right. Because this isn't really told to us before, we're kind of painted a picture and we're looking at the world through rose-colored glasses. Let me go ahead and extend this analogy. So slap those rose-colored glasses off your face and put these ones on. You'll look better anyway. That's better. Okay, so I'm going to finish the chapter off with these bad boys on my face. You know what I'm saying? What's good? So we see our early failures as proof of conclusive ineptness rather than as the inevitable stages on early path to mastery. Oh my gosh. We have not seen enough of the rough drafts of those we admire and therefore cannot forgive ourselves the horror of our own early attempts. That's what I was saying about the rough drafts. I didn't come up with that idea myself. I got it from here. We are recklessly short on detailed, honest, and compelling accounts of what to expect around key aspects of our professional lives. Instead of looking like confidence-destroying evidence of our incapacities, we're talking about setbacks here, they would much more readily strike us as proof that we're on the standard path to what we admire, what we want to be, what we want to do. We'd interpret our worries, reversals, and troubles as unavoidable landmarks, not aberrations or fateful warnings. Confidence isn't the belief that we won't meet obstacles. It is a recognition that difficulties are an inescapable part of all worthwhile contributions. Nothing worth having it is easy. Normalize the role of pain, anxiety, and disappointment in even the best and most successful lives. Chapter 7 is entitled Death. Now this is a chapter, this will put some hair on your chest. I ain't gonna lie to you. This hits deep. Let me start off in the middle. Time does us a disservice in seeming so long and yet turning out to be so resolutely short. Think about when we started college. I started college in 2013. The day seemed so long, the week seemed so long. All of a sudden, 4 years went by so fast. I stood there on my graduation day and I told my pops, I said, yo, Dad, 4 years flew by so freaking quick. And he, out of his experience and wisdom, retorted back, Ryan, imagine that, but 25 years. Oh my, you gotta hit me with that on my graduation, Dad? Okay, that's my present? Okay, fair enough. Gee, my nitty, that's crazy. But our inaction is not in itself cost-free. For in the wings, out of regular conscious awareness, there is something arguably even more frightening than failure, the tragedy of wasting our lives. We too easily ignore the most stupid yet deepest fact about our existence, that it will freaking end. Emphasis added. The brutal fact of our mortality seems so implausible that we live in practical terms like immortals, as if we will always have the opportunity to address our stifled longings one day, until we are slapped by the reality of when somebody close to us that we know, we realize how quickly your life can be taken. It seems unfathomable now. So right now there are car accidents going on. Somebody is losing their life to something right now. I can't fathom it because it's not in my wheelhouse. I don't know the person. Once you know the person, it hits you. It really, really does. But by hyping up the dangers of failure in action, we underrate the seriousness of the dangers lurking with passivity. Holy Moses. Not doing what you want, not saying YOLO out of the fear of failure is worse than failure itself. This chapter is entitled Enemies. What popped to mind in me for this chapter is a serenity prayer. The serenity prayer says, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. My handy dandy iPhone 8. You heard? Why do I say that? We can't change people. You can change people, but a lot of times it's not worth changing people, especially if they are an enemy because of jealousy, which is, I think, one of the main causes of haters, honestly. So we cannot change the presence of an enemy, but we can change what an enemy means to us. Motivation. A lot of people say that. Easier said than done. Motivation. Brush it off. If you're confident with who you are and what you're doing, why would you let somebody like that drag you down? Who we are is something that we decide. Wow, we're getting into it. So there's an unexpected turn here, how they say to kind of deal with it. They say a useful skill is fierce pessimism that you assume from the start. So basically you have a very, very low expectation of people so that when somebody comes at you nasty, you say, oh, that's just how people typically are anyway. Nastiness is more or less the fundamental truth of human nature. Now we're getting philosophical. I'm a math dude. I guess they used to go hand in hand, but I'm not, it's modern days, right? I just code. The benefit of thinking a lot less of everyone can be a calmer attitude towards the specific meanness of a few. To me, this is a little bit morbid. I don't know if I like this outlook on humanity. It kind of just seems dreary, and I would like to live a more positive, upbeat, Muffy the Bunny attitude. We will constantly be the target of anger, but we don't have to believe ourselves to be its true cause. Somebody is angry at us. Think about the millions of confounding variables that could have caused that. Not me just making this stupid ass video. The storms are not really about us, and we can learn and we can survive them by refusing to let the verdicts of others become our verdicts on ourselves. We aim to correct our genuine flaws and otherwise forgive the injured, roaring winds that seek to punish us for pressures that have nothing to do with us. Boom. Chapter 9 is called self-sabotage, and this is kind of the concept where we are on the brink of success. We are the reason that we fail, even though we had every key to get there. And it says here that perhaps we feel like we don't deserve this success, or we're fearful that those people that we were close to before our success will be jealous once we achieve it. But that's no reason to sabotage yourself. It appears that success can sometimes bring about as many anxieties, which may ultimately culminate in a desire to scupper our chances in a bid to restore our peace of mind. Success might bring more complications. In terms of fear of leaving those who brought us up behind, the solution is not to sabotage ourselves. It is to grow deeply generous and proactive around the real reasons why our caregivers could have ended up feeling so apprehensive about our achievements. So put yourself in their shoes. I can't imagine my parents being anything other than proud of any of my achievements or my brother's achievements. But I guess in some cases there are. Perhaps if you're in that situation, rather than shying away from success, use your success to uplift everybody else with you so nobody is left behind. And in terms of feeling like we don't deserve this success, check this out here. Most of what we win is not quite deserved, and most of what we suffer isn't either. Cancer wards are not filled with the exceptionally wicked. Bask in your success. Don't be intimidated by it. So in my opinion, this last chapter, Confidence in Confidence, great way to close out the book. I literally am tempted to just read this entire chapter verbatim. Any question that you didn't even know you had would be answered about confidence here. A lot of us, and I resonate with this, complacency is respectful. So for example, if I order a steak and I want it medium well and it comes back medium, I would not be the one to complain and say, excuse me, I'm paying $50 for this 3-ounce frickin' ribeye. May I have what I ordered? I don't think I would do that. I'd be kind of pissed. I might try to let it cook a little bit more so I'm not yakking in the toilet later after a frickin' drinking cow's blood. But I'll do my best to be grateful, thankful, and just wolf that thing back in a half bite like an appetizer. Because it can avoid a confrontation. It can avoid coming off like an asshole. So our meekness protects us from simply off-putting associations around self-assertion. And also, furthermore, so people a lot of times, and I'm a religious dude. I've grown up religious with my family. So, of course, you have heard that the meek bask in divine favor. The arrogant would be the last to enter the kingdom of heaven. We've grown up with this. But as with everything in moderation. So confidence in moderation, you don't have to be arrogant. You don't. It says here, but confidence is in its essence entirely compatible with remaining sensitive, kind, witty, and softly spoken. It might be brutishness, not confidence, that we hate. So, of course, our negative view of confidence may be overly dependent on the quirks of our own histories, on the sort of people we first encountered confidence in who are not its best or most reliable representatives. Our real problem may not be confidence so much as lack of other virtues such as manners, charm, wit, and generosity. Furthermore, here's a catch too. We might not so much admire timidity as fear trying confidence. Whoa, I'm going to read that one more time for the people in the back. Yeah, you sons of bitches. We might not so much admire timidity as I deuce that up. We might not so much admire timidity as fear-trying confidence. Wow. He even relates this back to Christianity. He thought it a typical, Nietzsche, whatever. He thought it a typical error of many Christians who might pride themselves on their forgiveness while in reality simply trying to excuse their inability to take revenge. We should take care not to dress up our base deficiency as godly virtues. Wow. If you're going to be forgiving, do it out of the sheerness of being forgiving. Last one, mic drop moment. Confidence is what translates theory into practice. I'm out. Thank you guys for joining. For joining me this week. Amazing little pamphlet. I bashed on my boy Darius, as I should. No regrets. I cussed him out in front of all those nice people. Sure, no regrets. That's my boy. That's what I do. Thank you for the book, Darius. Really appreciate it. I will keep this one forever. Like, real talk. Forever. I'll see you guys next week.